very prolific psych rock band King Gizzard are back. They put out like 5 albums throughout the course of 2017. It was unreal, man. It was crazy how they kept up to that much material in 1 year. Of course, me being me though, I just wasn't really that hype on most of the albums they put out. Not trying to be contrarian, but I just really can't even remember much of the material they even put out throughout that time. Even Flying Microtonal Banana, which I did like, I can't really recall that much from it. I think there's just a slight issue with oversaturating the market with a bit too much material when either quite a bit of it isn't living up to the quality, or a lot of it may end up sounding the same, that kind of thing. But they have had a little break, and Fishing for Fishies is their latest album, which once again takes a little detour in their sound. You gotta respect their creativity no matter how you feel about the music, because they are just really changing things up every single time. It's very impressive. While yes, there are definitely similarities to their previous stuff on this album, particularly Brunswick East, I think a little bit occasionally on this album. It still sounds very fresh and different for what they're doing, and it's not really like Nonagon Infinity. It's not really like Polygodwana Land, or whatever that one was called. It's definitely nothing like Murder of the Universe. However, the one thing that is in common with this album, with quite a lot of their other material, is that I'm just not really feeling it. Once again, I'm just not feeling a King Gizzard album. I feel like all my reviews of this band on this channel has just been negative for the most part, but I do like Nonagon Infinity, and I think it's a really good album, but I'm just not feeling this one. For me, the biggest issue this time around is the vocals. I can't get with much of the vocals on this album, and that's kind of where most of my issues lie, actually, because I think one thing about music is that if you just don't like the vocals of an artist, then you're just not really going to like that album that they're putting out at all. It's really something, you've got to connect with the vocals, and if you don't, then you're not getting anywhere. The way he delivers his vocals across this album really sound quite corny to me. I don't really enjoy a lot of these choruses. I think the title track sounds so good instrumentally, and then as soon as he comes in with his vocals, I'm just ready to turn it off. I do really like the rootsy feel of the instrumental on this track as soon as it kicks in, but once he's like fishing for fishies, it's just very, very cheesy to me, the way he delivers his voice, and even these lyrics as well. They're very childish at times, especially on the second track too. Boogeyman Sam, which is basically this boogie rock tune, and there's a lot of reference to boogie across this album too, which just really makes me cringe a little bit. They certainly sound like they're having fun and they're taking things very like light-heartedly, which I absolutely admire. I don't mind this at all, but it really just isn't for me. I will say though that there is a 2-track run on the album which I do end up liking more than I expected to, and it is the Plastic Boogie track to begin with, and then going on from that into Cruel Millennial, which has a different vocalist on this track, which I actually prefer his voice over this type of music. I think he works really well. It's not as like old school swing type thing that's going on with the main vocalist across this album, which again I keep saying is cheesy and a bit corny, and on this particular track I think it just kind of works way better than it was doing throughout the other tracks. Plastic Boogie though is just a track that I really love for the guitars. I mean, the fucking way that it starts crunching through, I just want it to get unleashed actually on this song, but it kind of gets reined in a little bit and you don't really see it for much of the album, which is a bit of a shame to me, but while it lasts, it's definitely welcomed. And I do end up admiring the quirkiness of a track like this thing, where I just think his falsetto on this track really works nicely with the instrumental here. It's just never hitting that point of like cringiness to me, which is just happening too much across this album. Obviously this is very subjective and you may just be listening to me saying like cringy, cheesy, what do you mean? But I think the best way I can describe this is by comparing this to another album which is called Have Moisey. Have Moisey is a 70s album by Michael Hurley and many other people that got involved with it too. And it's this old-time kind of freaky contemporary folk album that just does not take itself seriously at all. Like, it is so unbelievably cheesy. You could probably detest this album if you laid your ears onto this. And somehow it works. It works. I don't know how, I can't explain why. I genuinely do not understand how I love this album, but they just get everything right. I can't, it's just not the music that I would ever think I'd enjoy, but yet they just get it right. And while this album by King Gizzard here is like obviously quite light-hearted and doesn't really take itself too seriously throughout, I just feel like there's a bit of a straight face on the vocalist throughout this entire thing with his performances here. It's on the borderline here of being serious while also not being serious at all. Like, he's not letting himself go with his performances. He just needs to kind of let it rip and just go all out, but I feel like he's just not getting there. That's why I feel like I'm just not connecting with this one. So it's a shame really, but I will say that the closing track is absolutely terrible. Side Boogie, this is so bad. The fucking like vocoder vocals across this thing. Oh Christ. Side Booby is definitely one of their worst ever songs, I think. I really could not stand this song, and it's so long too. Why does it go on so long? I'm gonna go 5.5 out of 10 on this one. I hope I've explained myself properly throughout this review, but I don't know. It was a bit difficult to talk about this one because I can't really fully explain why I don't really like this, but at the same time, I'm listening to this and I think, yes, I do not like this. A few tracks that I did dig though, but other than that, yeah, I'm sort of off the King Gizzard train for a little while. They're definitely a prolific band who are constantly changing their style and putting out creative output, but it just doesn't end up being for me. Thanks for watching my review. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got something out of it, and hope you agreed with me in some ways. And if you didn't, you can let me know as well. I don't mind. It's all good. Thank you for watching my review. Have a good day. Goodbye. Sad booby.